Hello everyone, welcome to Testpert MBA Prep. Let us start with pie charts. In this session, we will solve 5 different sets. The first set we have taken from previous year CAT. The second set also appeared in CAT at some point of time or the other, whereas the third and fourth sets are from previous IIFT exam, and the last one is from ZAT. So even though we have taken from different exams, these are relevant for the remaining non-CAT exams as well. So do watch this video till the end. So let's start with pie charts. Let me tell you this basic thing. Let's say this pie chart is represented in degrees and the second pie chart is represented in percentages. So what you must interpret is as it is represented in degrees, the total value is 360 degrees in the first case, whereas in the second case you can assume the total as 100% as it is represented in percentages. There may be a case where you must change the degree into percentage and a percentage into degree. So how can you change that? While solving the DI problems, you are asked to change a sector into a percentage, that is a degree into a percentage. Let's say let's find out the value of 54 degrees. How can 54 degrees be expressed in percentages? See here, 360 degrees is equal to 100%, right? So 360 is equal to 100%. So 36 degrees is equal to 10%, which means 3.6 degrees is equal to 1%. See, 3.6 degrees is equal to 1%. So what is 54 degrees? 54 degrees is equal to 54 by 3.6, which is equal to 15%. Right? So in this way you can change degrees into percentage and percentage into degrees. Right? Let's move on to the first set. So the following pie charts give the values of the sales and expenses of 5 companies A, B, C, D and E as a percentage of the total sales and expenses of these 5 companies put together. So the first pie chart gives the values of the sales of the 5 companies and second one the expenses of them. So company A, B, C, D and E are represented in these colors, right? And for the expenses as well. And so this the table is also given, which is profit is equal to sales minus expenses, as we know, and profit percentage is equal to profit by sales into 100, and no company made a loss. So among all the companies, no company made a loss. So the first question, which company had the highest profit percentage? See, we have in the reference table we have profit percentage as profit by sales into 100. See, let me write it here. So what is profit? How can we rewrite profit? Profit is sales minus expenses. So sales minus expenses by sales into 100. If we take S as common, so it will be 1 minus E by S into 100. So if we observe 1 minus E by S into 100, this 1 and this 100 into 100 are constants for all the companies. So we can take E by S for all the companies, but one thing is that we have to minimize the value of E by S. So if we, for the company which has the least E by S value, then we can say that company has the highest profit percentage, because E by S is negative here, minus E by S, 1 minus E by S. So E by S value must be least for the highest profit company, right? So we must minimize the E by S value. So let's take only E by S value for all the companies. Okay, so what is the value of E by S? E by S for company A. What is the value of E? E is 10 here, right? So expense is 10. by what is sales of A, sales of A is 20, so 10 by 20, which is equal to 0.5. Okay, let's move on to B. What is the expense of B? Percentage, expense percentage, it's 15. So 15 by, what is the sales percentage? It's 20. So 15 by 20 is equal to 0.75. And what is the expense of C? 15, and sales of C is 15. So 15 by 15, this is equal to 1. Now D, it's 30 and 25. So 30 by 25, and for E it's 30 by 20. So 30 by 25 is it's greater than 1, right? So it's greater than 1, and 30 by 20 is 1.5. Okay, so if we observe the values of E by S, what is the least value here? What is the minimum value? 0.5. And so this is for A, company A, right? So we can say that the highest profit percentage of among all the companies is for company A. So the answer is company A. Move on to the second one here. So for which of the following companies is the ratio of expenses to profit the highest? Okay. So what are we asked here? We are asked to find out expense by profit, right? And for which company the expense by profit is maximum, right? Okay, so we must maximize the value of E by P. So E by P, if we observe here, E by P can be written as sales minus expenses, so S minus E. And if we take E common here, we have S by E minus 1. So we must maximize this value. We can also interpret in this way. So if E by S minus E must be maximized, we can also say that S minus E by E can be minimized. Understood? So if we inverse that, then this one will also get inversed. Just think about this. And if we take E as common here, then we will get S by E minus 1. So this one must be minimized. So we can say that this minus 1 is common for all the companies. So we can say that S by E must be minimized, right? So this one S minus E minus 1 must be minimized in the sense S by E must be minimized because 1 is common for, 1 is constant for all the companies. So no need to calculate that. Okay, so we will take S by E values for each and every company, and for which company the value is least, then we can say that for that company the expenses to profit ratio is the highest. So what is the S by E value of A? What is S? S of A is 2 and E of A is 1. So 20 by 10. 20 by 10. So it's 2 here. And what is B? S by B, 20 by 15. So in the same way, calculate for all these. So if we observe for all the values, right? If we observe S by E values of all the companies, we can say that E has the least value for S by E, which means it has the highest value of ratio of expenses to profit. So our answer is company E. So if the overall profit percentage of all the 5 companies put together was 40%, how many companies had a profit percentage of at least 70%? So here we are given that profit percentage is equal to 40. So what is profit percentage? It's profit by sales into 100, right? So this is equal to profit by sales into 100. So 40% means 40 by 100. So this is equal to 2 by 5. So profit by sales, as we already discussed, profit is S minus E, sales minus expenses by sales. This will be equal to, if we take S as common, it will be 1 minus E by S. So if we substitute 2 by 5 in the place of E by S, then take LCM, we'll get the value as 3 by 5. So E by S is equal to 3 by 5. Remember this. Which means the ratio of expenses and sales is 3:5, right? So we can say that the expenses is 3x and the sales is ratio is 5x. But for our calculation purpose, we will take this one as 300 and we'll take this one as 500. So for company A, right, so we have taken sales, which is for 500x, expenses as 300x, S minus E values in this column and S minus E by S values in this column. So for company A, what is the percentage of sales? Sales percentage is 20%. So 20% of 500 is 100x. What about the expenses of company A? It's 10%. So 10% of 300x is 30x. And S minus E, the difference is 70x. 100 minus 30. And S minus E by S, this is equal to 70 by, S minus E is 70 and by S is 100. So 70 by 100, that is equal to 70x by 100x. So the value here is 70%. The value of A is 70%. And let's calculate the value of B in the same way. So B sales percentage is 20%. 20% of 500x is 100x. And the expenses value. So I will calculate and write down the values, each and every value here. Just check them once. So these are the values for A, B, C and D. How did we get this? So we have taken the percentage, respective percentages, and we calculated for 500x in case of sales and for 300x in case of expenses. And we have taken the difference, and remaining you all know that. But for company E, we will take here company E. So what is the value of company E percentage of sales? It's 20%. So 20% of 500x is 100x, and the expenses of company is 30%. So 30% of 300x is 90x. And S minus E, the difference is 10x, and S minus E by S is 10x by 100x. So this will be equal to 10%. So if we observe, what is the question? How many companies had a profit percentage of at least 70%? So at least 70% means how many are there? A has got 70% and B is 55, so less than 70, and C is less than 50, less than 70, and everything is less than 70. So for company A, the value is 70%, so we have only one company, right? Let's move on to the second set of pie charts. So pie chart 1 and 2 show the breakup according to different expenditure heads and savings of the revenue of two sister companies, ABCL and LPTL respectively. And pie chart 3 shows the breakup according to the type of savings of the total savings of the two sister companies, that is the total savings of ABCL and LPTL. So we have three pie charts here. This is one, this is the second pie chart, and this is the third pie chart. So here pie chart 1 and 2 show the different expenditure heads, different expenditures for ABCL company and LPTL company, whereas pie chart 3 shows the savings of both the companies. Let's move on to the first question. It says if the savings of ABCL is thrice the total savings of the two companies invested in insurance, what is the ratio of revenues of ABCL to that of LPTL? Let's say the revenue of ABCL be X and the revenue of LPTL is Y. And what about savings? See, the savings of ABCL is 10%. So 10 by 100 of X, and the savings of LPTL is 20%, so 20 by 100 into Y. And the third chart is given the savings of both ABCL and LPTL. So we must add, let me write it here, the third pie chart's interpretation. Okay, so 10 by 100x plus 20 by 100 y. So please remember this, we may take this as reference while solving the problems. So if the savings of ABCL is thrice the total savings of the two companies invested in insurance, what is the ratio of the revenues of ABCL to that of LPTL? Okay, so here we know the savings of ABCL is 10 by 100 of X, right? This is equal to thrice that of the total savings of two companies invested in insurance. So total savings means we have to look into the third pie chart, that too insurance part. So insurance part is 30%. So 30%, 30 by 100 of, what is the total savings? We calculated in the previous slide, which is 10 by 100 x plus 20 by 100 y. So let me write it here. 10 by 100 of x plus 20 by 100 of y. Okay. Now just the calculation part is remaining. So x 100 x will be equal to 90 by 100 x plus 180 by 100 y, and 100x is equal to 90x plus 180y. 10x is equal to 180y, and x by y is equal to 18 by 1. So the answer is 18:1. So we have did nothing here, just we have taken the statement. See, the savings of ABCL is thrice. We have taken the savings of ABCL company, and which is equal to thrice that of total savings of the two companies in insurance. So we have taken the insurance part here. Where is that? 30%. So 30% of the total savings we have calculated here, right? So let's move on to the next one. If the ratio of the revenues of ABCL to that of LPTL is 7:4, the total savings of the sister companies invested in shares as a percentage of the total savings of LPTL is. Okay, here we are asked shares. In the previous slide, we are asked to find out the insurance. Now shares. The ratio is given 7:4. So this is for company ABCL and this for company LPTL. The revenue of ABCL is 7 and the revenue of LPTL is 4. For our convenience, we will assume this one as 700 and this one as 400, right? So what is the percentage of savings here? Savings of ABCL company is 10%. So 10% of 700 is 70, right? And what about the savings of the second company? It's 20%. So 20% of 40 is 80. So what are the total savings? Total savings is 70 plus 80. So total savings is 150x. But here we are asked to find out the total savings of the companies invested in shares. What about the shares here? Shares percentage of total of both the companies, it's 20%. So 20% of the total savings of LPTL company. So 20% of, first we will find out the 20% of total shares is 20 by 100 of 150, which is equal to 30x. This is the shares, and we must express this one as the percentage of the total savings of LPTL company. So what is the total savings of LPTL company? It's 80x. So 30x by 80x into 100. So this is equal to 37.5 percentage. So 37.5 percentage is the total savings of LPTL. So it is expressed in as the percentage of the total savings of LPTL. So if the expenditure of supplies by ABCL and that by LPTL are in the ratio 3:5, then what is the ratio of revenues of LPTL to that of ABCL? So supplies by ABCL that of LPTL. Now where is that supplies? Supplies percentage of ABCL is 25% and supplies percentage of LPTL is 15%. So 25 by 100 of X. So X is we are assuming the revenue of company A as X and revenue of company B as Y. So 25% of X by 15% of Y is equal to, what is the ratio here? 3:5. So 3 by 5. So cancel, and the X by Y ratio will be 3 by 5 into 15 by. So the ratio of ABCL and LPTL is 9 by 25, but we are asked to find out the revenues of LPTL to that of ABCL. So LPTL by ABCL is 25:9. So this is one more set, and consider the information provided in the figure below rating the rating relating to India's foreign trade in 97 to 98 and the first 8 months of 98 to 99. So total trade with a region is defined as the sum of exports and imports from that region. Okay, total deficit is defined as excess of imports over exports. So trade deficit may be negative. So trade deficit, see, whenever the a nation is importing more than exports, right? When it's importing more than exporting, then that company is in trade deficit, right? So the balance sheet won't be surplus, won't be balanced in that case. Okay, so here trade deficit may be negative, and USA, Germany, other EU countries, UK, so all the countries are there. Okay, so they are represented with some alphabet, like here, see. So 97 to 98, the imports into India. Okay, so imports into India, this is for these two pie charts represent the imports of 97 to 98 and that of 98 to 99, and these two pie charts represent the exports from India, that's for the years 97 to 98 and 98 to 99. So these two are for imports and these two are for exports. So what is our first question? What is the region with which India had the highest total trade in 97 to 98? 97 to 98. So highest total trade. So total trade they have given. What is total trade? Total trade is defined as the sum of exports and imports. So exports and imports of the particular region, right? So instead of calculating for all the companies, for all the nations, it's better to take only these four options, right? So for OPEC countries, we'll calculate the imports, and this is here we will calculate exports. Imports, what is the imports? 97 to 98. So this one. So imports is 40779. So okay. So 40779, and exports are for which year? 97 to 98. So 97 to 98 exports are 33979. 33979. Okay. So OPEC, for this, the import percentage for 97 to 98 is, but where is OPEC? OPEC is represented with H. So H is, yeah, this one, this color. So this represents 23 percentage, right? What about the exports of OPEC? OPEC percentage is 10%. So this is 10%. What about USA? For USA, the import percentage is 9 and the export percentage is 19%. What about other EU countries? Other EU countries, 12% is the import percentage and 14% is the export percentage, and others are represented as, okay, alphabet K, right? So other countries are represented with alphabet K. So the import percentage for others is, say, this one. So here K is not represented, so K is 1%. This is for exports, and for imports it's also 1%. So here this color represents K. Okay, so this is 1% and K for export percentage of K is 1%. Now, as we know, the total trade is the sum of imports and exports. So if we calculate 23% of this value, 40,779, and 10% of 33,979, and if we move on calculating all the values, it's very time consuming and not at all recommended. So instead of doing that, we can think logically. See, 23% of this, so which value is bigger, 40,000 or 33,000? 40,000, right? So 23% of 40,000 plus 10% of 33,000, or let's say 34,000. This is a bigger value when compared to the second case, USA. This is USA, right? This is OPEC. This is others, and this is EU countries. Okay, other EU countries. So for USA, 9% of 40,000, 19% of 33,000. Of course, for for the export percentage, if we compare, USA's export percentage is 9% more, but the percentage of imports is more than 100%. It's more than double that of USA to the OPEC, right? So we cannot calculate the value of USA, because we cannot calculate in the sense the value of USA will definitely be lower than the value of OPEC. Same goes with other EU countries as well. 12% of this plus 14% of this is less than 23% of this value and 10% of this value. And in case of others also, it is less than OPEC countries. So the highest trade in 1997 to 98 with India is for OPEC. OPEC has the highest trade. So what about the second one? In 1997 to 98, the amount of Indian exports in million US dollars to the region with which the India has the lowest total trade is approximately. See, what are we asked here? Please read it carefully. The amount of Indian exports, you can ignore this part in between the commas. Okay. So the amount of Indian exports to the region with which India had the lowest total trade. Okay, which region has the lowest total trade? K, right? K, we have 1%. In previous slide we calculated. There is no other value which is less than 1%. So the value of 1% is least among all the values mentioned here. So exports for the year 1997 to 98. 97 to 98. So this is 1%, right? So 1% of 33,979. What is the value? So 10% of 33,979 is 3,397.9, and 1% is 339.7, and this is approximately 340. Let's move on to the next pie chart. So study the following pie charts regarding to sales of 5 models of cars for the years 2010 and 2011 and answer the question. Okay, this is the pie chart, 2 pie charts here. The first one represents for the year 2010 and the second one represents for the year 2011, and the percentage of shares, right? of all these brands is given. 5 models of cars. Okay. So if the 2010 sales for all car models is 80,000 and these have grown by 25% in 2011, then what is the approximate increase in the number of Figo cars sold in 2011 over 2010? See what is given here. The 2010 sales of all the models, car models, is 80,000. But we are asked to find out the Figo cars percentage, right? Figo cars value. Let's first calculate the value and then we will move on to the increase in the number of Figo cars sold in 2011 or 2010. So let's first calculate the value of Figo cars in 2010. So in 2010, the percentage of Figo cars is 9%. So 9%. And what is the total value given here? The total sales is 80,000 in 2010. So 80,000, this will be equal to 7,200, right? And what about 2011? 2011 sales of Figo cars is 44 degrees. 44 degrees. Please remember here in the first slide we have discussed about conversion of degrees into percentage and percentage into degrees, right? So 44 means total degrees is 360. So 44 by 360 into what is the percentage? 25% increase in 2011. So 25% growth from that of 2010 to 2011. So 25% increase means 125 by 100 of what is total sales? 80,000, right? So there is increase in 80,000 rupees, 80,000 total sales by 25%. So we must take 125 by 100 of the total sales. So this value is 12,222 and for that of 2010 is 7,200. But we are asked to find out the increase, approximate increase. So what is the difference of these two values? It's 5022, right? But we are asked approximate increase, but nowhere in the option is mentioned 5022 is not mentioned everywhere anywhere. So the closest option is 4860, right? So if the 2010 sales for all car models is 80,000 and these have grown by 25% in 2011, then how many models have grown more than the average growth for all the models taken together? Okay. So for Figo we have calculated. So we must calculate for remaining as well. So we have represented the brands with these letters, this alphabet, and for 2010 the Figo percentage is 9%. So 9% of 80,000 is 7,200. And as there is increase in 25% of 80,000, so 25% increase in 2011 means now 80,000 in 2010 became 1 lakh, right? 1 lakh in 2011. So 2011 the value, the degree, the share of Figo is 44 degrees. So 44 by 360 into this 1 lakh gives us this value. And what is the growth here from here to here? We have to calculate the difference, which is minus 7200 by the initial value 7200 into 100. If we calculate this, we'll get 69.75%. Let's move on to the second brand as well, Alto, which is 32% of 80,000. This will be equal to 25,600. And 111 degrees of 1 lakh rupees. So 111 by 360 into 1 lakh, right? So 1 lakh, this will be equal to 30833. And what is the increase in percentage? 30833 minus 25600 by 25600, which is the initial value, into 100. So calculate this and we'll get the value as 20.44% increase, right? Same goes with other brands as well. So the value of this is 19,200, because 24% of 80,000 is 19,200, and 67 degrees of 1 lakh is 18,601. And there is, I think, the negative change, negative growth here. So negative growth is almost 3 point some percentage, right? 3.0506, right? 06 percentage. This is decline. What about I-10? 21% of 80,000 is 16,800, and 82 degrees of 1 lakh is 22,777, and there is a positive growth, which is 35.58 percentage increase. And what about the last brand, Honda City? This is 14% of 80,000 is 11,200, and 56 degrees of 1 lakh is, and the change is 38.88 percentage increase. So if we observe all this, the average growth rate is 25%, but we are asked to find out for how many models the average growth rate is touching to. It's touching, so 25%. So definitely F is touching 25%, which is Figo is touching 25%, which is more than 25% indeed. And A Alto is not, it's less than 25%, and this is less than 25%, and this one is greater than 25%. I-10 is greater than 25%. Figo is greater than 25%. HC, the Honda City, is greater than 25%. For 3 models, it's greater than 25%. It's touching the average, right? So B is our answer. Okay, so the next pie chart shows the percentage distribution of runs scored by a batsman in a test innings. So he scored number of sixes. The percentage of sixes is 3.92, and yeah, this is not degree distribution. This is percentage distribution. Okay, so number of ones that he scored, right? His score in number of ones is 36.6%, and number of fours is 43.14%. So in twos and threes, okay. So the batsman has scored a total of 306 runs. How many fours and sixes did he hit? Okay, so total score is 306, right? Total score is 306. And we are asked to find out how many fours, not the runs, how many fours and how many sixes did he hit. So what is the percentage of fours here? 43.14%. So 43.14 by 100 into total runs 306. This is 132. So 132 runs are scored by that batsman in the form of fours, right? And so 132 total runs scored in the form of the boundaries in the form of fours, which means how many fours did he hit divided by 4. So this is equal to 33 4 boundaries, right? What about sixes? The percentage of sixes is 3.92 by 100 into 306. This is equal to 12. So 12 runs are scored by him by hitting sixes. So how many sixes did he hit? He hit 2 sixes. So 33 and 2. Where is the option? 33 and 2. So D is the correct answer. And if 5 of the dot balls had been hit for fours, and if 2 of the shots for which the batsman scored 3 runs each had fetched him only 1 run, so what would have been the central angle of the sector according to the percentage of the runs scored in fours? Consider the previous data. So in DI, unless it's mentioned to consider the previous data, don't consider the previous data, right? Consider the data separately for each and every question. Even though the set is same, you shouldn't consider the previous data, but here it's mentioned to consider previous data, so we can take that. So at first, what did he do? What did he get? 5 of the dot balls had been hit fours. So dot balls means, we know a dot ball means a ball that we do not get any, for which we do not get any run. So 5 dot balls means the score for this 5 dot balls is 0, but initially it was 0 for the 5 dot balls, but now instead of 5 dot balls he hit 4s. So 5 balls into 4 runs, this will be equal to 20 runs. This is the initial value, this is the final value. And in the second case, we have, if 2 of the shots for which the batsman scored 3 runs each had fetched him 1 run instead. So initially we have 2 shots with 3 runs each, which is 6 runs total, but now he scored only 2 runs for the 2 balls, right? 1 run each. So initially his total score was 0 plus 6, which is 6 runs, and now the final score is 20 plus 2, which is 22 runs. So what is the net increment, right? Net increment is 22 minus 6, that is equal to 16 runs increase, right? So if there is 16 runs increase, then there will be increase in total score as well, right? So in previous slide we have 306 as the total score, right? So 306 plus 16, this will be equal to 332. Now we are asked to find out the central angle of the sector corresponding to the percentage of runs scored in fours, right? So scored in fours, we know in the previous slide we calculated how many runs did he score in fours, right? He scored 132 runs in the form of 4 boundaries. So 132 previously, plus now he hit 5 fours, which means which resulted in 20 runs additionally, right? So 132 plus 20, this will be equal to 152 score. 150, he scored 152 in the form of hitting 4 boundaries, right? So 152 by, what is the total score? 322 into the total angle is 360 degrees, because we are asked to find out the central angle of the sector, right, corresponding to the percentage of runs scored in fours. So 360 degrees, this will be equal to 170 degrees approximately, 169.9495993, right? So that will be equal to 170 degrees. So option D is the answer. So in this session we have discussed different sets related to pie charts, and in quant many of you are asking how many questions to be attempted and to get at least 95 percentile, right? So to get 95 percentile according to the new pattern, we expect 22 questions from quant section, right? We have two chances. The first one is 22 22 22, or 22 in quant, 22 in VARC, and 20 in LRDI. So that's not a much difference, right? A very slight difference. that's negligible. So in quant, out of 22, get me 10 questions correct, not attempts, 10 questions correct. If you get 10 questions correct in quant, 10 questions correct in quant means it's almost 95 plus percentile. That's for sure. 95 plus percentile is a minimum guarantee. Or if you want to just clear the sectional cutoff, get me 8 questions correct, right? Or you can also attempt 15 questions with an accuracy of 80% or 75 to 80%, let's say. Then that will definitely fetch you 95 plus percentile. So in 40 minutes, try to get 10 questions correct, which means you will get almost 4 minutes for each question, right? For scrutinizing the paper, for picking up the easier questions, just spend a few minutes in the beginning, but pick up the low hanging fruits, right? Don't pick up the difficult level questions. Don't pick up them. Pick up the easier questions, because we have only 40 minutes. It's not a very speed game, but now we have to consider the time factor as well, right? So in 40 minutes, select the easiest questions. Whatever the difficulty level of the paper can be, there will be easier questions for sure. There will be easier questions for sure. So pick up them. After solving all the easier questions with a high accuracy rate, then move on to the some medium moderate level questions. But 10 questions must be correct to fetch you a 95 plus percentile, right? So ideal attempt to get overall 95 plus percentile is 10 questions correct in quant, 10 questions in LRDI, and 12 questions in VARC, right? 12 or 12 to 13, something like that. So overall 95 percentile means 10, 10 and 12, right? So practice well, revise well, clear the basics first, understand the concepts, and then solve the questions, and after that you can solve mocks. Thank you very much and all the very best. If you haven't subscribed our channel, subscribe for more updates, for latest updates, and all the very best.